Hello and welcome to another Sinister Sunday. Today we're traveling all the way to South Carolina to the Dock Street Theater, one out of 7 of the most haunted places in Charleston. There is some very rich history in Charleston, South Carolina. In fact, a lot of the history here centers around pirates, the Revolutionary War, and the Civil War. While the Deep South is a grand place to visit, the history here isn't always the most positive. This could be part of the reason that the city is seen as very haunted. Along with the streets of Charleston, there are ghosts that linger in historical buildings as well. One of these buildings is the Dock Street Theater. The tales of hauntings in this building grew every time someone visits. Let's start with a little history of the Dock Street Theater, which was one of the first of its kind in Charleston. When it was built, it was on Church Street and Dock Street. It was first opened on February 12th, 1736. The first play that opened there was called The Recruiting Officer, and visitors loved it and the actors that put it on. This version of the theater did not last long, though. There was a horrible fire in 1740 that burned down most of the French Quarter in Charleston, including doing quite a bit of damage to the Dock Street Theater. In 1809, it was decided that the theater was necessary to the city, and it was rebuilt. It was not called the Dock Street Theater, though. It was now the Planters Hotel. This hotel was very fancy for its time, and the patrons loved coming here for the atmosphere and the parties. Many historical figures either stayed or worked here. Many survivors of the Civil War found work here, and a lot of them became famous shortly after. The hotel did not stay in business very long, though. The Civil War put quite a strain on the economies of the South. The hotel was abandoned, and it was to be demolished. The owner loved the building so much that he didn't know what to do. He put it up for sale, and the city of Charleston bought it. There were many renovations done to the building, but the builders kept the theater portion of the hotel, and it was turned into a performing arts center. The theater would be famous once again. The theater reopened in 1937. Now, let's get to the ghost stories of the Dock Street Theater. One of the ghosts here is said to be that of Nettie Dickinson. Nettie came to Charleston when she was about 25 years old. She loved the city and thought it was exciting and sophisticated. She was really hoping to meet her future husband by marrying here. However, in 1840, the average age of a woman to marry was 17, so Nettie was considered very old in those terms. Nettie was working at a church, and she really enjoyed it there, but she would always look over at the Planters Hotel and see the men with their prostitutes and thought that she could be a part of that scene too. She quit her job at the church to try that life for herself. Prostitution would be Nettie's new job, and she did well at it. Men liked her. She still went to church and would watch as the women there would gossip about her and make horrible comments. This made her very angry, and soon she became very depressed when men no longer wanted her because of their wives' comments about her. She stopped going to church because of this. Nettie still enjoyed hanging out on her balcony at the hotel, and on one fatal night, her priest visited her and asked her to come back to the church. He said her life could change, and while he was talking to her on her balcony, a storm came through the city. A lightning bolt hit the rail of her balcony and electrocuted her. Nettie died horribly from the shock, and many people said that she had never left the hotel. Since the hotel became the Dock Street Theater, there has been quite a bit of paranormal activity. But one of the first ghosts spotted was the one of Nettie. Many actors say they've seen a woman walking in a beautiful red dress, and she glides across the floor. Some of the workers say they see her every day, but others say she comes and goes for months at a time. No matter how much or little Nettie's ghost may appear, it's clear that she's still in the theater, and she wants you to know it. The theater, however, is not only haunted by Nettie's ghosts, In fact, they say that Junius Booth and his father, John Wilkins Booth, also haunt the building. John and Junius both worked at the hotel, and Junius was an actor at the time. Many of the actors and workers here have seen the figure of a man walking around the stage. They have reported seeing him when the building just has a few lights on, and they feel him breathing down their necks. Some of the workers have even felt him touch their necks. The people who have researched him believe that this is the spirit of Junius Booth. However, no one can prove it. There is a third ghost that is said to haunt the theater. There's not much known about the mysterious spirit that they call the White Lady. She sometimes manifests herself to people. Was she an actress? Did she work at the hotel? Nobody knows, but plenty have seen her. What do you all think? Let me know down in the comments, haunted or not haunted. Thanks for joining me on another Sinister Sunday, and we'll see you again next week.